Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called French Inventions That Changed the World. So I know that there's always like so many things that, inventions as in like actual objects that the French have invented and stuff that we use like every day. But I only think about food actually. I think they have like great French food is incredible. So I don't know if it does that count as an invention. Cheese, wine. I know they didn't invent wine, but champagne, for instance, I know that they invented champagne because it has it's only made there. So I would definitely put like champagne, some different types of wine as well, and a lot of types of food, but I don't really know. I think maybe it's gonna be more, this video is probably gonna be more about actual objects that, people and humankind uses every day. But I don't know, I'm excited, so let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
We all know about the French Revolution, but do we know anything about French inventions? And we are not talking about just baguettes or jump cuts. We are talking about inventions that have changed the course of our entire world. Here are 5 French inventions that made the whole world say, "Merci beaucoup." Photography.
Oh.
Can you picture life without photographs? From selfies to portraits, commercials to book covers, Instagram feeds to internet memes. I mean, we are literally always surrounded by them all the time. But do you know how it all started? With this.
A daguerreotype?
This is the world's earliest surviving photograph, which was shot by a French inventor named Nicolas Lipsa.
Okay.
Inspired by the art of lithography and his love for the invention of camera obscura, a historical projector, he wanted to develop a means to capture light and form real images from it. He experimented with a variety of light-sensitive materials and discovered bitumen of Judea, a naturally occurring asphalt, to be the most effective one. Nispar then created numerous bitumen-covered plates, exposed them to sunlight and waited for several days. But it was worth the wait, as his experiment...
I have to say it's crazy. I know that obviously developing like old photographs was a whole, well, it's still being done. It's a whole technique. It's a whole different kind of thing. But just seeing it like this is like how far along have we come, and just like taking a selfie in your phone. Like imagine 200 years ago that you had to go through all this hassle to actually get one photograph.
Succeeded. Those bitumen-covered plates had captured a permanent image. The first photograph ever to be taken in the world. The view outside his home.
What year was it?
It stands to reason that the
brothers.
country that introduced the world to photography would also be the country that introduced the world to cinema. The Lumiere brothers were often regarded as the original filmmaking pioneers. They were known for making videos depicting everyday Persian life and then exhibiting them for money across the country.
Well, in that, again, it's the same thing that I'm saying with the photographs. It's like, look at how many movies, like, you can find movies about anything these days. And it started just, what are people interested in? Let's record daily life, because, that's what was interesting, and they couldn't imagine them being introduced to, like, the concept of fiction and writing a script. Like, I think they would be blown away by what their invention has become.
Although what the Lumiere brothers presented could be considered fantastic videos, they were not narratively driven. Hence,
exactly.
In our eyes, they were not cinema. The credit for making the first cinema should go to Alice Guy, as she made the world's first narrative film called La Fille aux Choux in 1896, a short film about a couple's desire to have a baby. This film is considered lost, and only the remakes of the original exist today.
Oh, that's sad.
But the impact that the original film had at the time was unprecedented. After that film, many people saw the potential of narrative cinema and started producing their own.
I love that.
Movies became widely popular, and within a span of just a decade, it became one of the biggest entertainment industries in the world. Braille.
Oh, but the name
The
speaks for
invention of the
themselves.
braille resulted from a horrifying accident in which the 3-year-old French-born Louis Braille accidentally stabbed himself in the eye with this sharp instrument when he was playing at his father's workshop.
Oh my god, that's tragic.
Blinded in both of his eyes, he tried his very best to live as normally as he could,
Of course.
but found it difficult because at the time very few institutions had appropriate facilities to assist blind people.
Good point, yeah.
Frustrated, he took matters into his own hands and started researching Charles Barbier's night writing system, a tact code that was devised for the French troops to communicate in the dark when they couldn't see.
Oh, that's
Based
clever.
on it, he developed his own tact code that was more universal, accessible, and had the ability to communicate the complexities of written language and visual cues effectively to a blind person. Also, he did all this when he was just 15 years old. In today's time, the Braille code is
That's-
used for more than 130
What a smart
languages
guy.
and is the most popular tact code for the blind across the world.
Yeah, everyone uses it.
Pencil sharpener.
Oh, that's French.
It's one of those inventions that you probably use on a regular basis, but never think to yourself, who invented this?
Wow, that's so
His
old.
name was Mr. C.A. Boucher. In the book Annales de l'Industrie, Boucher wrote about many things. But one of them was this little device he made to sharpen his pencil precisely so that he could use it effectively for his pantographs. This device became what we now know as
Oh my
pencil
god, that's so
sharpener.
old-fashioned.
Unfortunately, Mr. C.A. Boucher never patented his discovery and hence never sold it for commercial purposes.
He lost a bunch of money.
The first person to patent the pencil sharpener was the French mathematician Barney Lassimone, who made it commercially accessible across all of France and spearheaded its popularity across the world.
And now he was the one that earned
The hairdryer.
that much money. Oh, the hairdryer.
To be honest, I am not at all surprised that this is a French invention. With all the bourgeois lifestyle and fashion sense French people had at the time, it's no wonder that the hair fixing machine was devised in this country. It was invented by a French stylist, Alexander Godefroy, who used it in his salon to great success. His machine was so huge that a person had to sit underneath it to dry their hair.
But
Word
those
of
are the
this
old-timey
invention
ones.
quickly spread across continents, and it became a familiar sight in practically all salons within a couple of years.
Yeah.
As time passed, these big machines became smaller and more portable, and by the 21st century have become a common appliance that one can see in almost every home. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Tell us which country would you like us to cover next in the comments below.
It's kind of crazy. I didn't really like what year exactly was the hairdryer invented, because I think the whole like those clips of like a bunch of women in the hair salon just in this really big like stuff that look like helmets, but they're actually like hair dryers that I think you can still find in like very old salons. I think they still have them. I don't think they it's like they can still be used, but they're there. I that's not like for some reason yours like still like some salons use it. I don't really know exactly why, because there's other purposes. Usually you do it for like, I don't know, you're trying to lift to lift like levels in your hair, whatever. But I think it's like around the I want to say 1950s maybe was when it was popularized, and it was like on all hair salons. But it's really funny that then, but they became like portable to like the hair dryer that most people actually are aware of. I don't know when do they start like being commercially sold, like the portable ones that people could have in their homes, maybe around, I want to say maybe around the 1970s, maybe 70s or 80s. But it's funny that in this day and age, like there's been some models that actually sort of like replicate this old type of hair salon situation, and that apparently I can see that the actual like original model was like was like that, like it's like this sort of like helmet situation that has like this tube. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a tube that actually has like the air passes through, and then like you put it in your actual like hair, and your hair is like, covered by the thing. I don't know how to explain it, but there's like a lot of like newer models of like some very popular like hair brands. Well, not hair brands, like hair, like the Dyson, like hair products. I don't know, the hair stuff that has to do with hair. Like they have the Dyson Airwrap, which is sort of like the similar, a similar concept. Only like in this day and age, there's obviously it's faster. I don't really know how long back in those days, like how long it took for the hair to actually dry, but the Airwrap, it's basically it's the same. It's the same prototype, only that it's a modern thing, and obviously like yes, it's gonna dry your hair faster, but it's really funny seeing the actual prototype, because it's like, look at a Dyson Airwrap, it's exactly the same thing, only that it's like, I think a little bit more compact these days, but it's the same. It's like that tube that has some air, and the air passes through, and you have to like cover your hair with like the thing. I don't know, it's really funny to me that it's like, look how far along have we come, but actually have we though? Like it's still the same prototype. It's really funny. The whole like pencil sharpener, I had no idea that it was, I think it was like 1857 or something. I had no idea that the thing was that old, because I'm thinking in my brain pencils are a newer invention. By newer, I don't want to put a number, because I'm like, I don't know what is new, but I don't know, around the 1900s, maybe a little bit like late 1800s. That's what I would have thought, that a pencil came to be like, oh, people were using pencils, because before that I had the idea that people were using like, the pens and the quills, and everything was ink. I don't really know the concept of like when was a pencil invented, and when was it like, it was like widespread use that people were just using pencils for whatever. I thought that was like a newer invention, so I don't know why it surprises me that the pencil sharpener was like, the mid 1800s. So it is like, okay, so how old are pencils then? Because I would think, and I think maybe they were invented sort of like parallel, because you're not gonna be, oh, I created this thing, it's called a pencil. Like you don't have to, you can just sort of erase, and it's made out of wood, and you don't have to use ink. But then, it's like, oh yeah, but when it's like, when I don't really have the tip, like, what do I do? What did people use before the pencil sharpener? I'm guessing they were invented sort of like parallel. Otherwise, you would what? I'm gonna throw it out. What a waste. It's like, well, the graphite, like the graphite is finished. I'll throw it out. Maybe people were using like their knives to sort of like sharpen it, and maybe that's why they used the pencil sharpener. Actually, maybe that was the case. It was like, no, I have the solution for you. And such a shame that the guy that actually invented didn't really patent the thing. That's why you should always, like, if you have a good idea, always like go through the hassle of like of having your patent, because otherwise you're losing out on so much money. Look at that poor guy, like nobody remembers him, and people probably remember the actual guy that made the whole, that actually invented it in paper, as in like, yes, he filled out the forms like the other guy sadly didn't. So it is kind of like makes me a little bit sad. The Braille system is like incredible. Like what a great guy. And he did it like when he was a teen, when he was like what, 15, which is crazy. But it didn't have occurred to me that Braille was, oh, of course it's named after the guy. I knew that it was named after the guy that invented it, but it didn't occur to me that he was French. It's like, oh, of course, makes all the sense in the world. That's still like French last name. That is like, oh, of course, he was French. But what an incredible, again, very smart that he realized, I'm gonna take into like, and the other guy that came before, that he sort of like based the whole system. That they were like, if I'm trying to like come up with a system that would like where blind people can read, what should I look for? And it's like, oh, because the military obviously used some sort of like code to communicate when they couldn't see. And he was like, yes, of course, it's like Morse code, I would assume. That I would probably go to like, oh, let's use like, our ears. But no, of course, Braille is perfect, because it's like, no, you have to like touch it, which is perfect because some people are also, they're deaf. So it's perfect. Again, what a great like hindsight and foresight. Not hindsight, foresight for him to actually, come to the solution of like, I have the perfect system. I'm going to invent it. I'm going to invent this alphabet and this language. It's like, well, perfect. Love that guy. Incredible. Props to him. And even though obviously what a sad situation, he obviously was an accident, and he actually like he was blind because of an accident. He made lemonades out of, like, he made lemonade out of like some lemons, actually. It's a perfect like thing of like when life gives you lemons. Well, obviously he was like not a good thing that happened, obviously, like no one's saying like, oh, what a good thing he was blind. But no, he didn't give up, which I think I found very, 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 like, it's a good sort of like an experience, and a good like life, probably a good life lesson of like, see, when maybe you think all is lost, no, sometimes like it's an opportunity to actually like become and do something else that maybe you weren't expecting. So obviously you're gonna have your grief period, but then eventually, like, everything's gonna turn out. It's gonna turn out well, and it's gonna turn out for the better. So yes, I loved all those inventions, and I love that the photography and both cinema were sort of like invented in France, because it's like, yeah, what an appropriate thing. Because I think these days you sort of like associate, especially like cinema, you associate that with like, oh, the United States, because obviously you have Hollywood. But it's like, no, I'm more about the part of like, cinema and film as an actual culture form, as a way of like culture, and shapes culture, and not as in like probably like a big blockbuster. It's more like an art form. And of course it was the French, because they were like, yes, all of the famous, not all painters, but obviously a lot of the famous painters are also French. So it's not, and obviously they're very cultured, people, French people in general. So it is kind of like not a surprise that, of course, for photography and film were both invented there. And again, I would love, obviously no way of knowing, but I would love to see, maybe, what a great thing would it be? Obviously impossible, but what would the Lumiere brothers and, they would think of like, hey, look at a blockbuster, like a Hollywood blockbuster. Look at how, and Alice Guy probably should be less shocked about the whole situation, but the Lumiere brothers would be like, hey, look at what your medium has become. Like, isn't that trippy? Like, incredible, right? Like, I think they would be quite like shocked, and also you probably, I don't know, I would love to know what they think. And again, same with photography, like asking those early photographers, like, well, hey, imagine this. Could you have ever imagined that you wouldn't have to like stick around, 2 hours in the same like form and be like this, like a mummy, in order to like take a photograph? And now these days you can take a picture in like half a second, and it's in your phone, and if you don't like it, you can just delete it. Like, incredible how far along have we come, and again, in a short period of time, because it hasn't really been that long. So, it's quite surprising and quite amazing, both at the same time. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.